Alright, yo, what's going on, guys? Aza Customs here. Today we're doing an RGH tutorial, and we have a Trinity right here, and we're going to be RGHing it. It's one of my order numbers, but okay, I have it taken apart down to the motherboard. Everything's off, and we're going to see if it boots normally in retail, because I didn't check, which you probably should. But there, we got a boot, so everything is working fine with this console. We're going to plug that. Take out this RWell board, and we're gonna go ahead and get started with this. So I'm gonna tell you guys the things that you're gonna need for this install, and yeah, so you're gonna need, well, you don't, this is like optional pretty much, but you can get this. It's a fiberglass scratch pen. It like helps out a lot. But yeah, you can get this on Amazon for like $6. It helps out a lot. And you're gonna need some flux. I have this is an old Amazon one that I use, but I used this one, and I just put this inside of the tube so it's easier to use. And now you're gonna need some solder. I have this one right here, and I think this is lead free, but I also have this 6040 with the flux inside of it, and this one's really good, but it's kind of thick. And also what you're gonna need is a NAND with the Cool Runner, like programming cables. You can get those on the Wicked Modders website. Also the NAND, and you're gonna need the pin headers too. Okay, so the first step in the install is we're going to pre-tin the NAND points. I'll put up a picture on the screen right now what those points are. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some flux on those points, and also on the bottom points where the chip is gonna be installed. So just pretty much put flux on the top row over here, and then the whole row on this one. So we got our soldering iron and our cleaner. We're gonna clean this foot. Once we do that, we're gonna heat up the flux, and it's gonna make a little smoke. Don't get like alarmed or anything. It's not a big deal. And we're gonna take our solder, whatever you have, should work fine honestly. And we're gonna pre-tin the point. So pretty much you're gonna put your iron down on the point and feed the solder to there, and it shouldn't really take that much effort. And I actually forgot to use the scratch pen, which is autistic, but and there doesn't need to be a lot of solder on these points. It's you're gonna fucking bitch. And if your solder isn't sticking to the board, just keep your iron down on the point. Don't be afraid. And as you can see right here, the flux is a little brown. That's just the actual flux, not the board itself. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take our NAND with the cables right here, and these are what you use to read and write your NAND. So then what you do, you gotta get the image. I'll put that on the screen right now. Oh my god. To get to the NAND points and where you need to install the wires, you go to Images and NAND Slim and click Trinity. And this shows all the colors. I already put that on the screen, but this is what we're going to be soldering and putting these wires in. I may actually need that pick because I didn't memorize.
Did you ship freebie stuff shit? Mine didn't.
Mine didn't.
Did yours ship?
I said it didn't.
No, I'm backing with Runaway. I can hear you. You're talking.
You gotta check the email.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. I got an email and it says it's been shipped. which I'm very surprised.
Did it give you tracking?
Yeah. Let me see if it's actually been shipped or they just like made this label. So I don't think you can do that. But it's UPS, so I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, I don't think you can print labels.
No. Let's see if it's one anywhere.
Oh, it's UPS?
Ordered, processed, ready for you. No, it's like that. it's the gay shipping label just like made, not actually delivered to UPS. Well, at least I tracked you.
Oh yeah, it's been shipped too.
Yeah.
Light?
Light? Yo, what part of the RGH tutorial are you on?
What?
What part of the RGH tutorial are you
We
on?
just started.
Oh.
Okay, then we're gonna plug in our NAND to our computer. And then we're gonna go and head over to JRunner. So once we're in JRunner, we're gonna click this question mark. It's gonna give us this flash. And if it gives you a flash like this, if it gives you that flash, then you either don't have your power plugged in or you're soldering shit. So you're just gonna click that and you're gonna get it. And you're gonna click read NAND. And it's gonna read, it's gonna take like 2 or 3 minutes, and then you're gonna wanna do 2 NAND reads just to make sure they're the same. So the NAND is done reading, and it's gonna say NANDs are the same. But if you have any bad blocks, they're gonna remap. And as long as you get this message that NANDs are the same, it's totally fine. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna create the ECC, and it'll give you a message, ECC created. Now we're gonna write it, and that's gonna go really fast. It's only writing the first 50 blocks, so it's gonna go really fast. Okay, so the ECC is now written and everything's fine. Now we're gonna unplug our NAND from the computer, and you're gonna want to leave these NAND wires in because we're gonna write the NAND and do some other things with that. So now our next step is we're gonna install the glitch chip. So we're gonna take this and rip it. Once you rip it, you take out the pad, and then you stick it on your pussy. Okay, now you get the sticky pad, you take this off this. I'm pretty sure you guys aren't artistic. And then it doesn't really matter where you put it, I just put it right here. Just do it like that. You take off this other part, and this is where you're gonna put the chip. You're gonna put it with the pads facing towards the NAND points, with it lined up with the white lines right here. So do it like that. Once you're done, you're gonna unplug power because you never want to solder with power on. You're gonna clean your iron again. Make sure it's clean. Now we're gonna take the solder and we're gonna pre-tin the pads and the ace chip. Okay, so those are all pre-tin, and you really don't want to keep the iron on for that long, or else you'll rip off a pad, which I used to do back in the days. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pre-tin the pads on the actual board itself, and I'll put a picture on the screen right now what pads we're gonna pre-tin. So I'm just gonna do those really quick. Okay, now we get these wires that come with the ace chip, and I'm just gonna cut those out of the package. And next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim the wire, like the actual like silver part that's sticking out. As you guys can see right there, it's really long, and you're gonna trim that short. If it's really just like a preference if you want to make your installs look nicer. Just do those pretty short. Okay, we got all these wires right here, and you're gonna come with 2 long ones, and there's gonna be the rest are gonna be regular short size. And pretty much the long ones go on C and D on the ace chip. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, since the chip is already pre-tinned, we're gonna heat up the solder and we're gonna stick the wire in, and then just let go with your iron. And just hold it there for a second, and it'll be. Okay, so what we're gonna do with the wire D is we're gonna stick it under the ace chip, kind of like this, and there's gonna be a hole right under the chip where that you're gonna want to route the wire through. So it's right under.
Yeah, this.
No consoles.
No.
So you're just gonna want to stick that through, and then you can
Stick it through.
pull it out.
Pull out.
So it'd be kind of like that. And we're gonna do the same thing with C. We're gonna route it under these 2 wires, and it's gonna be the same hole on the other side, pretty much. Okay, now our next step is we're gonna be soldering ground, 5 volt, and E and F to the front of the board. So what I like to start off with is ground, and I'll put a picture on the screen right now of what points they are. So we're gonna take ground, and we're going to put the wire next to the solder ball, and we're going to heat that up and stick the wire in just like we did on the ace chip. And now we're pretty much going to do that with every single other wire on the front of the board. Okay, I got those all soldered on. Now we're going to flip the board over, and make sure you hold one of the wires so you know which one is which, so you don't have to keep looking over and over it again. So this is the D wire right here, and this one is going to be soldered on a little tiny point right next to the X clamp. So what we're going to do, we're going to take some flux, and we're just going to put it on that little small point, and then we're just going to heat up the flux, melt it a little bit, and next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some solder and we're going to put it on the tip of our iron, just like that. Then we're going to put the wire pretty much on the point and just touch it with the solder on our iron. And then that should be connected fine, and you're going to want to do the same thing with the C point. So let's put some flux, get a little bit more solder on your iron. Gonna heat that up. And that one should be good too. Okay, now the install is fully done. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to put a timing file on our chip so it can actually boot. So how we're going to do that is we're going to plug in our NAND X. We're going to take these pin headers. We're going to stick them in the ace chip right here. And now you should get a red light that'll pop up. And now you're going to want to put some pressure facing towards you. So just hold that right here. And then don't forget to save your NAND dump. So you're going to want to show working folder and then copy these. And make a new folder in your desktop. Open that and paste those in. So to put the timing file on, we're going to go to Advanced, Custom NAND CR Function. Click these 3 little dots. And go back so I can show you guys. So in JRunner, it's going to be in Common. 5342 whatever timing file, this one Trinity, and then I usually go with 300 or 150, but I'm gonna go with 300, then 60.6. This one right here, I'm gonna open it, and then click this right here, XSVF, then click run. And it's gonna say done. So now we have power, HDMI, and Ethernet plugged in. If you have that, it's gonna make it a lot easier. So a good sign that your soldering is okay, if you have power to the Ace chip, the red light is gonna light up. But now we're gonna go ahead and give this a boot, and as you can see, it's glitching right now, so that's good. Okay, so we got a successful boot. I'm gonna switch the timing file after this because it was really shitty boot times. But right here we got Zell reloaded, and we're gonna get our IP right here if you have Ethernet plugged in. If not, you're gonna have to type in your CPU key. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is it's gonna say IP right here, and what I showed you guys before, you're just gonna type in that IP. And if you don't have Ethernet, you're just going to type in your CPU key right here. But if you do have Ethernet, just type that in, click get CPU key. It's going to do that. Now you don't want your NAND or anything plugged in. You're just going to create XeBuild. That's going to go fine. It's going to say XeBuild finished, have a nice day. Now once the console's off, just plug in your NAND, and then you're going to click right NAND. And pretty much it's just gonna put like a dashboard on your Xbox, because like, I don't know how to explain it. Pretty much if you don't put XeBuild, you can only boot into Zell, and there's like no point. So XeBuild is pretty much the dash. Okay, so after the NAND is done writing, what you're going to do is unplug your NAND, and unplug power, and you can either replug it immediately, but I'm going to change the timing file, and you don't want a power plugged in when you're doing that. So I'm actually going to plug the NAND in again, and we're going to put the pin headers like I said before, and we're going to put a new timing file on. And I'm going to use 150 this time, and we'll see the boot times on that. Because we're going to go to Trinity 150 60.6, and it's going to be the first one. Open that one, run it the same way you did the first one, and that's good. We're going to unplug the NAND, replug power in, and so now we're going to boot it, and as you can see, our glitch is way better now. It's glitching a lot better than before, so hopefully we get a good boot. So that was a pretty fast boot, and yeah, we got dash going right here. So after it booted into dash, you can just press the eject button, and that's gonna make it so it boots into Zell. So this should boot a little bit faster. So there, we got a boot. That was actually pretty bad boot time, I'm not gonna lie. I might change that up a little bit. But here we got Zell. So that's the full RGH tutorial on how to RGH a Trinity with the Ace V3. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna desolder the NAND wires, we're gonna clean up the flux, and that's pretty much it. And you can add LEDs if you want. But that's been it for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new, leave a like, and subscribe or follow our Instagram, Runaway Customs _ and Aza Customs. So yeah, that's been it. Peace.